Thanks to the creativity of inventors around the world, there are many types of specialized tools that can get jobs done faster and more efficiently. So join me for today's video as we take a look at the top 15 most ingenious tools. Number 15. RAMSET MASTERSHOT. When you're trying to create solid foundations for a project, you'll need to secure different types of materials to one another. This can prove to be particularly tricky if, for example, you need to attach a wooden beam to a concrete or steel base, because you'll need to exert a huge amount of force that risks damaging the wood, or that would leave you exhausted in no time. Luckily, there's a clever solution to this problem: the RAMSET MASTERSHOT. It's the closest thing to a rifle that's designed for use in construction. To begin with, you load the fastener into the head of the tool. Then you load the charge into the barrel of the device. Next, all you need to do is to push the barrel of the MASTERSHOT into the position where you need the fastener to be inserted, and then you pull the trigger. Its rubber cushioned grip means that you can use it time after time without feeling any effects, and it's easily powerful enough to drive fasteners through 2 sheets of steel. As an added benefit, it's also been designed with an inbuilt suppressor, meaning that for the job it's doing, the MASTERSHOT is surprisingly quiet. Number 14. Vibration Tile Beater. Placing tiles neatly onto a new floor can be a hugely time-consuming process if you want it to look perfect, but a tool like this vibration tile beater makes it a simple process. At first, of course, you need to prepare the work site and lay your choice of cement, but then this tool has you covered for everything else. Its suction grip, which can hold up to 77 pounds or about 35 kilos in weight, means you only need to place it in the center of your tile on a stack, and you're able to lift it up with ease. And not only does this avoid you having to awkwardly hold the edges, but it also allows you to place it directly into position. You then just pull a switch and it gently releases the tile, and you can put a number of them in place before fully setting them. Next, you activate the vibrating function, which ensures the tiles are properly set into the adhesive. And because of the presence of a spirit level, you're able to ensure that they're perfectly flat and that the adhesive is evenly spread beneath. With something like this, a floor laying job that would have previously taken several days to complete can be done in just a fraction of the time, and with far less physical effort needed. Number 13. Milwaukee Rocket. Especially when you're putting the final touches to a project, it's vital that you can fully see your workspace without any dark spots or shadows. This can be pretty tricky if you're working overnight or you don't yet have lighting in the area, and that's when portable lighting is needed. There are plenty of different types of workspace lights that are available, but the Milwaukee Rocket is one of the most adaptable designs you'll ever see, and can be adjusted to provide you with exactly the light that you need. Featuring 12 high-performance LEDs that can provide up to 2,000 lumens, there are 3 intensities that you can choose from, with the inbuilt battery lasting for up to 8 hours on the lowest setting. The cleverest part is that the body of the light is fully adjustable and can be rotated up to 230 degrees vertically and 240 degrees horizontally, as well as being able to be raised up to a height of 7.2 feet, or about 2.2 meters. It takes up very little space on the floor and even has a powerful magnet to be able to mount it from higher up if that's better. All of which means the days of squinting in the dark are a thing of the past. Number 12. Triple Claw Weeder. As anyone who spent a lot of time, money, and effort to get their grass looking perfect will know, weeds can seemingly appear out of nowhere. They're a scourge that plagues even the most perfectly manicured lawns, and the process of removing them can be so destructive to the surrounding grass that it takes quite some time to recover. It's also a job that requires a lot of bending and kneeling, and can take a serious physical toll on you if you're having to do it for long periods of time. There's a really clever tool, though, that keeps the damage to a minimum and allows you to focus purely on removing the offending weeds while standing straight. Called a triple claw weeder. It's made from stainless steel and features 3 claws at the end. You place these over the weed you want to remove and stand on the back to drive them into the ground. Then all you need to do is tilt backwards. The claws grab around the weed and lift it completely out of the ground, along with its roots, and the quick release mechanism clears the head between uses. With a tool like this, you can remove more weeds than you'd believe in no time, and you'll find that only tiny plugs of soil are taken too, which are easily replaced. Number 11. Flexible Sandpaper. Once you've finished repairing, replacing, or creating something brand new from wood, the final stage is to usually sand it and leave it with a perfectly smooth finish. Sandpaper, though, is usually rigid and tough, so it can withstand the force needed to wear away at the wood. But this isn't very helpful for when you're working with intricate pieces or ones that have curved shapes. A great alternative is to use flexible sandpaper, and as new materials are developed, products like these are becoming more and more effective. The surface is as rough as you need to sand any wood project, but the rear is made up of a flexible film instead of paper that can be folded, rolled, or shaped however you need, and it's far sturdier too. Said to last up to 15 times longer than traditional sandpaper, you can cut it to the shape you need and use it on any project. It's available in a wide variety of grits like you'd expect, so you can start with the coarsest and keep moving on to finer and finer ones until you have the exact finish that you need. Number 10. Bora Angle Duplicator. One of the trickiest parts of fitting crown molding or wood casing to a wall at the edge of a room is custom cutting the parts to perfectly fit the space that you're covering. Simply measuring isn't going to be precise enough when you use your miter saw to make sure it's a snug fit, and instead of the complexity of drawing diagrams, you can instead use a tool like this Bora Angle Duplicator. Made from plastic and steel, you simply put it up against the corner and unfurl the wing extensions, and make the final adjustments to make sure they perfectly fit around the edge. You can then firmly lock them in place, remove the tool, and then put it against your saw to ensure you cut a new piece that's the exact angle and size that you need. It can be used on internal or external angles from 0 to 180 degrees, and it's also easily foldable, so it won't take up much space in your toolbox. By removing any complicated math and significantly reducing the amount of waste caused by having to cut and recut several pieces, an angle duplicator like this will soon cover its initial cost and will save you a huge amount of time too. Number 9. Air Shim. There are a lot of jobs that you can do by yourself, but when you're dealing with heavy objects, it can be almost impossible to make them line up in the exact position that you need. A great example of this is when you're hanging doors, which is a job that will often need a second person to take the weight and hold it up in place while you make the final attachments. But something like an air shim can make this far simpler. In essence, it's a highly durable inflatable bag that can easily be slid underneath a heavy object, and you use the foot pump to inflate it. As it expands, it lifts the object up and will hold it in place. It's particularly useful for window and door fittings, but also invaluable in fixing bathroom fittings, furniture, plumbing, and joists. Each one has a load capacity of 300 pounds or about 136 kilos, and it's designed to be able to fit into tight spaces, and multiple air shims can be fitted at once to give a greater level of control. It is made from a soft material, so not only does it give much greater range of heights than a wood shim or a wedge, but it also greatly reduces any risk of causing any damage to the surface that you're working on. Number 8. Grylls Fire Starter. He is one of the most famous outdoor survival experts, so it's no surprise that Grylls has lent his name to a series of useful tools. Rather than simply profiting off poorly made products, though, his range is seriously impressive, particularly this fire starter tool. Being able to start a fire is one of the most important first steps in the wild, and this tool almost guarantees it. It's made from two parts that are connected by a lanyard and lock seamlessly together, with one half containing the striker and the other having a fire steel that can produce a hot and bright spark. What is useful about this fire starter, though, is that it also has a built-in waterproof compartment that can be used to store tinder. It has instructions printed on the exterior, and there's even a whistle on the lanyard to help you attract the attention of others if needed. No matter the conditions or how wet and windy it is, you'll be able to get a fire going in no time with this fire starter, and is guaranteed for at least 8,000 strikes before it needs to be replaced. If you're ever planning on venturing out into the wilderness, then this tool is surely a must-have. Number 7. Demo Deck. Removing old construction works around the yard is one of the most time-consuming jobs of all, particularly if you're dealing with wood that's rotted. But it's often a necessary step to prepare your work area before you can begin with the fun part of the job, where you begin building what will replace it. Decking can be quite tricky to remove, and it's often nailed down quite firmly, and has traditionally been something that takes ages as you meticulously take up each board. The demo deck, though, is now a must-have tool for anyone involved in replacing a deck, or just upkeep, and it makes light work of removing boards. Made of an alloy steel jaw and an ultra-durable laminated bamboo handle, the jaw fits around the edge of the board and you simply pull it back towards you and it'll lift the board up. Rather than using the joist for leverage, which is how most other similar tools work, this one uses the board itself, and this means that you can use it at any position along the board, as opposed to having to locate it where the supports beneath it are. Conveniently, once the board's been lifted, it's held in the jaw of the demo deck too, which further means you don't need to bend over to pick it up, and can simply use the tool to place it elsewhere. Number 6. Knee blades. If you've ever carried out work on the floor or low down on walls and around a room, you'll know just how much pressure can be put on your knees. It's not just when you're knelt in place at a particular spot, but also when you move to another position, and despite the option of wearing knee pads, you'll almost certainly feel the effects in your joints after a long day's work. That's why an inventor came up with the knee blades, with the intent of making users as mobile as possible while being down on their knees, and able to access the entire room without having to stand up. Claiming to offer more balance, flexibility, and mobility, they are mobile bases that attach to each knee, and each have 3 wheels to offer a full 360-degree range of movement. The wheels have been specifically chosen to spread the load, which means they put less pressure on the floor and won't damage the surface that you're moving on. With the ability to lock the wheels in place at the touch of a button, these are surely a must-have for anyone fitting carpets and floors, painting walls, or even just everyday household chores. Number 5. Clawed gloves. Designing the backyard with stunning flowers and decorative beds is one of the most popular hobbies and tasks that are done at home, but anyone who does this a lot will know it can be a huge undertaking. Of course, to plant a flower requires digging a hole to the right size and then carefully bedding it in. But you'll often find that you haven't taken enough soil out, or you just need to loosen the soil in the hole so the roots can take hold. Instead of having to get the spade or trowel again to do this, and for a more finessed approach, you could instead use clawed gloves. Almost looking like something that the Black Panther would wear, they're comfortable and durable gardening gloves like any other, but feature sturdy plastic claws at the tip of the fingers. They are ideal for delicately digging, dealing with delicate root hairs, and for planting, weeding, and spreading mulch and compost. And because they're attached to your fingers, you get the sense that you have far more control over what's happening. They aren't suited to all jobs in the garden, and you still need to have normal gloves when you want to lift heavy objects or take on jobs that are more demanding than the plastic claws can cope with. But the time savings these gloves offer to gardeners makes them more than worth it. Number 4. Roof pitch hopper. Most jobs that need to happen around the home may be tricky, exhausting, or expensive to do, but luckily they rarely put you at risk of serious injury. This is very different when work needs to be carried out on the roof of your home, because one wrong move could cause you to slip. Further to this, the slanted angles of roofs means that they're quite awkward to move around on, and you might find that your attempts to reach the higher parts will cause you to damage tiles lower down. But there's a tool that can make things much simpler. Called the Roof Pitch Hopper. It's a lightweight and portable step that's been designed to be placed on a roof and grip itself in place so it won't move. It becomes a sturdy and flat step that's then safe to walk on and work on, and when it's time to move to a different position, it can simply be lifted and placed elsewhere. Of course, it's still a good idea to wear a secured harness when you're on the roof, even if you're using one of these, but it gives a much sturdier platform to work and significantly improves the confidence of anyone working on the roof, without fear of stepping on a loose tile or losing your footing. They're available in a range of different sizes and even with different angles to ensure you're always able to create a flat surface no matter how slanted the roof is. So it's no wonder that roofing workers around the world are rushing to have one of these at their disposal. Number 3. Cup Pro 257. Sanding. It's a job that most people find to be laborious and cumbersome to do, mainly because you typically have a rigid piece of sandpaper that you try to hold firmly in your hand and have to use it to create smooth surfaces that often have an awkward edge or angles to deal with. This can all be made much simpler and even fun with a device like the Cup Pro 257, which takes sandpaper and makes it far more comfortable to use. In effect, it's a plastic handle and holder that's compatible with standard Velcro sandpaper and allows you to put far more pressure than normal down on a surface while you're sanding it. This isn't just a holder though, as the plastic holding disc is made up of several parts that can be folded to whatever angle you need. This creates a shape sanding surface which can then be used on corners, narrow spaces, grooves, and tight spots on flat or curved surfaces. With an adjustable tool like this, which also allows you to remove or reorient the handle, you'll wonder how you ever sanded anything without it. And not only will sanding jobs be done faster, but to a much greater level of finish too. Number 2. Wallbot Wall Scanner. Whether you're hanging new pictures, putting up shelves, or are trying to remove pests that are living in the house, or even to locate issues with pipes or electric wires, you may find yourself needing to make holes in your walls. This can, though, be a quite nerve-wracking process. It's not always clear where water and gas pipes are or electrical wires run, and you certainly don't want to drill into them by accident. And similarly, you don't want to make more holes than are absolutely necessary if you're trying to fix a problem. There's a range of different scanners and devices that you can buy that detect things behind the wall and sound an alarm when they find something. But the Wallbot Wall Scanner takes things to the next level. As opposed to simply telling you that something is there, this scanner can be connected to your smartphone and visually depict what it's found behind the walls. It's able to scan up to 4 inches or 10 centimeters into the wall, and will pick up on pipes, wires, wood, metal, and movement. This means it's a great stud finder too, and perfect for locating plumbing pipes and electrical wires. And it can also highlight where pests are hiding behind the wall. It's almost like having a window into what's hidden behind, and it can be a literal lifesaver. Checking with this tool before hammering a nail into the wall will ensure you don't risk damaging pipes or wires, and that you won't be in for a nasty shock. If there's an electrical fault or a suspected leak in a pipe, this will also mean you only remove the parts of the wall that you need to, and this will save a huge amount of time, as well as significantly reduce damaging and making it far easier to fix once the job is complete. Number 1. Exocore Sledgehammer. With most construction projects, and every one that involves removing material when you're preparing the worksite, there's a level of destruction that's going to be needed. For many people, this can be the most enjoyable part of the job, because it gives a great way to let out some aggression and smash through the walls and floors and a range of different materials. Of course, the tool that you use for this job will have a big impact on how long it takes and how long you're able to keep going for, because however fun it may be, it can be exhausting work. A huge and heavy sledgehammer is certainly destructive, but you can't work with one all day and will surely start feeling the physical effects after long-term use. But luckily, companies like DeWalt have started releasing the next generation of tools like these. An Exocore Sledgehammer, for example, uses materials that have been created for other industries and has led to the design of what's arguably the most destructive and practical sledgehammer ever created. Weighing just 10 pounds or 4.5 kilos, it's made from carbon fiber and is further reinforced on the overstrike to give added protection against breakage on the weakest part. It has a concentrated strike face, so far more energy is channeled into each strike, and the handle is hollow so each swing feels light and balanced. Users of this sledgehammer say they have been able to keep going harder and longer thanks to the ergonomic design, and because the way the designers have considered the way energy passes through it, far less impact is felt by the user, something that in the long run should vastly reduce your injuries.
Watch our Machines playlist for more top 15 videos about awesome machines. Sit back, relax, and binge watch all of our best machine videos.